Good afternoon. Taxi for Sir Keir Starmer. Well, he's got to go. Although with him, it would be an Uber. No decent black cab driver would ever allow that man to get in the back of their cab. Hi, it's Jon Gaunt. Just a little live stream to discuss what we've seen today and what's been happening over the last few days. When I say taxi for Starmer, I just don't see how he's going to survive. He's the most unpopular prime minister ever. He's more unpopular than Tony Blair. At least when Tony Blair came to power, are you old enough to remember that? There was a kind of excitement. There's no excitement. He's as dull as ditch water. And then he's got this arrogant streak, hasn't he, Starmer? Like, why has he taken on this fight about Oldham? Why doesn't he multitask, as my wife says? She reckons men can't do two things at once. I try, but that's what she reckons. So why didn't he just say, okay, we're going to basically implement the reports that we've already got? He could put the boot in to the Tories as well and say, they never did it, I'm doing it. But at the same time, we'll start this new inquiry. We'll start this new inquiry for the victims, the survivors of Oldham. They clearly want it. Today at Prime Minister's Questions, he was trying to make out he'd spoken to them and that they're divided. Well, that's not what I've seen or what I've heard. Why is he wanting to do this? And therefore, it makes you wonder, is he trying to cover something up? Does he not want his record, which he's so proud of and he's always talking about? He's doing it in the comments today. Does he not want his record as DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, looked at again? I mean, for example, we all know about the Jimmy Savile story, don't we? Although he used that defense again today. Oh, that didn't come across my desk, because they're finding time to do Mohammed Al-Fayed, another investigation into that filthy pervert. What's the difference between doing that and looking at Oldham, or having a national inquiry into the rape gangs? That's what we're talking about. The J report was massive. It was Jimmy Savile, it was the church, it was the Scouts. But because of the good work of GB News, and I'm not a particularly big fan of them, but you've got to say that Charlie Peters, that reporter's done a brilliant job. He reckons there's 54 cities and towns that have got problems with so-called, I hate the word grooming, child or rape gangs, but they weren't in the J report. So all Keir Starmer needs to say, like today in Parliament, he said, oh, it'll take another 7 years. Meanwhile, that's justice delayed. No, it's not. Get on with the ones you can do. And the ones that you've got to look at now, that's quite a limited inquiry. It's not like let's do everybody again. Let's go through the Church of England, although with the resignation of the Archbishop of Canterbury, Welby, it's a disgrace, isn't it? Let's face it, child abuse is everywhere. We may as well call ourselves Great Nonce Britain. It seems like we've got them everywhere. And that's because we've got this laissez-faire attitude. We don't come down tough on them. That stinking pervert Hugh Edwards, he even kept his pension at the BBC. He got promoted. He got a pay rise. He was looking at category 4 photos. That's children being penetrated, 4-year-olds. I'm sorry, he should be in prison. And because he's not in prison, it sent out a soft signal. The bloke who was giving him the photos, he's now used Hugh Edwards as his get out of jail card. He says, you can't send me to prison because you didn't send him to prison. What a weird world we're living in. Found out yesterday or the day before, courtesy of a couple of the newspapers, it was in the Sun for definite, that the ringleader of the gang in, let me get this right, Rochdale, he got sent down for, I think, 5 or 6 years. He only did 2.5, this Muslim. He's out now. He's an Uber driver. Oh, no, sorry, Uber Eats. He delivers food. Imagine you've ordered a pizza in Rochdale. The door knocks, and it's the bloke who raped you. Not just once, but constantly. Because he's out of prison. And they haven't extradited him. They haven't deported him. Why not? Is that because of the ECHR, whatever it is? Well, we'll have to get out of that, won't we? I'm fed up of politicians on all sides making a big hoo-ha like today. It was Kemi Badenoch versus Starmer today. But in the end, it's pantomime. And how ironic that it takes an American. No, he's not even American, is he? Oh, he is. He's got citizenship. Elon Musk. It's only because he's kicked up a fuss that they've suddenly shifted into gear. That's the only reason why Yvette, Mrs. Balls, went yesterday to Parliament and said they're going to implement 3 or 4 of these things straight away. And now the row today is over a technicality where the Tories are saying you should put the inquiry into this new bill, and Labour are saying no. So what you've got today is Starmer has whipped, some of them would like that, wouldn't they, has whipped his MPs and said, you've got to vote against the amendment. You've got to vote with me. He's turning into a tin pot dictator. Comrade Starmer. Well, he may as well start wearing the... Lord Ali, buy him a new suit so he can look more like King Rongan, will you? The guy disgusts me. I say, taxi for Starmer. Are you with me or against me? Today, it's the first live stream. If you want to comment, and people are doing it already, just write a comment up on whatever you're listening to, watching, and I'll read them out. Mary on Twitter says, he'll survive. I'll have a tenner on that if you want. By the way, if you're liking what I'm doing, press the like button and the share button, please. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Full Metal Otter. Hi, John. Hey, John. Long fan from the days when you presented BBC. Used to listen to you and my mum. You were great on BBC London. Well, thank you very much indeed. I hope I still am great. But, I've been away for some time, but I'm coming back. I've really got my mojo. By the way, I'm not in my studio, as you can see. I'm out on the road. I'm staying with our Rosie again, dog sitting. Must be my age. Somebody give me a job and stop me having to do this kind of stuff, will you? Although I love him to bits. Starmer's protecting his mates, says this YouTuber, T1000. New subscriber here. If you can't stand Starmer, then I stand with you, Gaunty. Then he's put the flag of St. George and the Union flag. Well done, my friend. We're together on that. I can't bear Starmer. And by the way, this is not party political. I don't vote Conservative. I don't vote for Reform even. And I'm certainly not voting Labour. And Rishi Sunak and Truss and Theresa May and even Johnson. They've all ruined this country and they've just looked after themselves. If you've never heard me before, my catchphrase is they're all self-serving pigs with their snouts in the trough. Every single one of them. I'll tell you who I voted for last time. I voted Green. What? You voted Green? Why did you do that? Well, because when I go surfing, not surfing, but bodyboarding down in Harlem Bay in Cornwall or wherever, I don't want turds going faster than me by my side. I want clean rivers. I want clean oceans. I'm into a bit of sustainability, apart from perverts. I wouldn't sustain them. Like the killer of Sarah, little Sarah. They brought her up in that debate today. Hold on a minute. He should have swung. Instead, he got 44 years and he's just had his face rearranged with a tuna can. But that's not right, is it? That's not right. Our justice system should have dealt with that pig. Ian Purvis, good fan of mine on YouTube. Why can't they pass the bill and then order the inquiry? Because, Ian, now you're doing a big mistake when it comes to politics. You're using your common sense. Those self-serving pigs haven't got that because they've got their agendas. And I'll tell you what, Nigel Farage, what was all that about? He was sitting there grinning like the wide-mouthed toad or frog. Just try and do something. This spat with Elon Musk is ridiculous. Try and bring them together. Anyway, good afternoon, John. Absolutely great. You've now gone live. Nobody is safe now, says Steve. Too right. You wait till we start having phone calls as well. Can't do that at the moment. Can't afford it, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Lady Pan says, Ian Purvis, men just can't multitask. They're all having a go. That's what my missus says all the same. Do you know the joke from Joan Rivers? What's the perfect man? It's somebody who can give great head. Excuse me. I don't know what she meant by that. Give great head, but also wipe a work surface down. That was the late, great Joan Rivers' view of what makes the perfect man. Rick Medlock in Coventry on YouTube. Hello, Rick. The whole political class is not fit for purpose. You're right. They're frightened to have an inquiry because some of them will be found out for the cover-up. That's right. I don't think it's a cover-up in the sense of, Watergate. And, of course, it's always the cover-up that catches you in the end. But it's not like Watergate where they're all keeping a secret. I just think they all do it. And so they're scared. I mean, let's look at the Lib Dems, Cyril Smith. Let's look at Labour, Lord Ahmed. They made that bloke a lord. Then he went out and sodomised an 11-year-old boy. He also raped a girl. He'd made him a lord. And I'll tell you what underlies all this. And I'm not anti-Muslim whatsoever, right? I'm not going to come out with I've got some friends who are Muslims. Some of my best friends are Muslims because they're not. Because we don't really integrate in that way, do we? We don't. I'm afraid we don't. I worked at BBC London, right, with loads of Muslims. They were fine. I also worked with a black girl who said to me, Kath, she said, she was a great producer. She wasn't my best ever producer, but she was good. And she said, don't look at me as if I've only got the job because I'm black and I'm a woman. And she really unnerved me because I think somewhere in the back of my mind, I probably did think that because I was a bit unreconstructed then. But she proved herself and she was excellent. But what a shame she had to say that. Unfortunately, there were loads of other people at BBC London who did only have the job because they were women or they were gay or they were black or they were Asian. That doesn't do anybody any good. It's like this thing about not mentioning the M word now. This is what's underlying this. Jess Phillips, right? She only won her seat by 500 or 600 votes. Her supporters' tyres were slashed. They were haranguing her at the acceptance when she actually won, right? But she didn't complain. She didn't complain because she knew she might turn more Muslims against her. I would suggest. And I think that's what's happened here. People have been tiptoeing through the political correctness tulips and are scared of the Muslim world. They're scared to death of being accused of being an Islamophobe. And now, of course, we're going to get blasphemy laws by the back door. They're going to define what Islamophobia is. And then by doing that, you won't be able to call them Muslim rape gangs. They are Pakistani, largely, Muslim rape gangs. Yes, and I know there's been white ones. There was one in Coventry as well, but not on the industrial scale. And anyway, there's no kind of table of abuse. I know people who have been abused and they kind of come, oh, I was more abused than you. Oh, no. And a bit like Harry Enfield. I'm considerably richer than thou. There isn't a league table. Abuse is abuse is abuse. But the Muslim thing, right? Today in Parliament, the mother of all parliaments, two-tier Keir kept referring to these monsters, these scum, this filth, as Asian grooming gangs. Well, number one, they're not grooming gangs, they're rape gangs. And number two, they're not Asian. Well, they are Asian, but they're Muslim. Why can't you use the word Muslim? They're not Hindus, are they? They're not Sikhs. In fact, it was the Sikhs back in the 70s who first started talking about this because it was their girls getting abused by Muslim rape gangs. And as I understand it, it's only certain parts of Pakistan where these kids who become men are coming from who are doing this. We've just got to research that, confront it, and sort it out. And if there's madrasas or mosques in this country where they're preaching white women are slags because they don't cover up and wear a burqa and look like a bloody Dalek, we've got to stop that. That isn't multiculturalism. That's separatism. We need to make everybody understand if you live in this country, you can keep your customs. You can go to the mosque on a Friday, go to the synagogue on a Saturday, do whatever the bloody hell you want, but be British, fit in. And I say this, fit in or ship out. We've got enough people wanting to come here. I mean, they're coming in every single way. So if you don't want to abide by our rules, it's got to be Stelios, chucks away, send them off and send their frigging families with them if they've been committing terror. Today, I've just had my daughter on the phone saying, oh, Dad, I'm really glad I'm not in London today. I said, what's up? She said, there's a bomb scare in Regent Street. Always reminds me of the Jam song. There's a bomb in Wardour Street, but close. But it's just, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to go to Christmas fairs anyway. I think they're crap. But I don't want to go to the German Christmas fair in Birmingham and have armed police there and bollards. Forgive me. Before 9/11, we didn't have any of that shit. So why have we got it now? Why are we tolerating it? I say we shouldn't. Right, where are we going next? Pinstripe suit with black and white brogues, says Lady Pan. I don't know what you're on about, love. Starmer has got to go, 100%, says Denise Deacon on YouTube. Steve, Jon, if Starmer goes, then which self-serving pig would take over? Now, that's interesting. That's something that kept me awake the other night, because I was thinking, well, if we got rid of Starmer, and it's a big if because he's in power, isn't he, for the next 4 years? He won't be, because there's so much crap coming out. We'll just leave it there. There's so much coming down the line, isn't there? He'll need a few more suits, let me tell you. He'll certainly need suits cleaning when some of this hits the fan. And don't forget, on the 20th, the big day, the day that Donald Trump becomes president again, that's the day of the trial of the man accused of murdering those 3 beautiful girls in Southport. And there was a cover up there. Yvette, is it Yvette? What's her name? Yvette Cooper, Ed Balls' missus. I say that because I like putting her down by doing that. Because anyway, and Keir Starmer must have known about these connections to terrorism and the fact that to Islamism, to him being an Islamist. That's why we haven't seen the picture. I wore this jumper on purpose. That's why in all the pictures he looks like this, because he's got a big Muslim beard underneath it, I presume. But it's wrong, isn't it? It's wrong. He deserves a fair trial, but he doesn't deserve to be treated with kid gloves. No? I would hope he gets... No, John, don't say that. I don't condone violence in prisons. Mind you, I've suddenly got a good taste for tuna. Where are we going next? So which self-serving pig would take over, said Steve. Steve, I don't know. Angela Rayner, she was there today. The state of her... Oh, let's just go back as well, because the other side of them... Starmer today in Parliament was Jess Phillips. Did you see her today? Look, Elon Musk, some of the things he said was a bit off colour, right? But she now reckons she's living under death threats and she's got the scared face on, right? Well, maybe she should have thought about the scared face before she turned down the Oldham relatives and survivors' request for an inquest. She hasn't even met them, according to GB News. That Charlie Peters, whatever his name is, he says she hasn't even bothered to meet any of the victims, stroke survivors. What a disgrace, right? And now she's got that face on, right? And she was interviewed by Victoria Derbyshire. I used to work with her in Coventry. She was crap, but anyway, she gave her the big sympathy one. Are you telling me your life is in more danger now? And all the hold on. We're talking about women, girls, 11-year-olds being penetrated with broken bottles, and you're worried about some nut job saying they're going to kill Jess Phillips. Now, I know we've had MPs killed, right? I know that, and it's horrendous, and I don't want to live in a world like that. I don't want Nigel Farage to get milkshakes chucked at him. Although I did quite like it when that bloke threw the punch at Prescott, and Prescott laid him out. That was good. But you take that was a gentler time, wasn't it? But I don't want that. Of course I don't want that. But to Jess Phillips, to me, it came over today as if she was comparing herself like she was a victim on the same level. I don't think so, darling. I do not think so. And you may have done a lot of good work with victims, or survivors, as I prefer to call them, and good on you. But why couldn't you give them an inquiry? And that's the point. Why won't Labour do it? It's got to be because of Starmer's record as DPP, and it's got to be that loads of Labour MPs might be implicated. Don't forget, Labour is the party that supported, was it NACRO? Civil liberties. They became Liberty eventually, when they wanted to allow paedophiles to be treated just like homosexuals or straight people. Yeah, they did. The Paedophile Information Exchange. If you don't believe me, Google it. Harriet Harman. And that other one, Teresa, can't remember her name now. But anyway, yeah, they thought paedophilia was fine. Just like Peter Tatchell, he goes on telly. I've done loads of telly with him. I actually got asked one day, don't bring up the fact that he wanted to lower the age of consent for buggery in a discussion. I said, no, I won't do that. I'll say whatever I want. But that's what they wanted. These people get themselves into, I'm not saying he's a paedophile, but he did at one time write letters in support of lowering the age of consent. I think the age of consent at 16 for everyone is fair. And that's where it should be. It should be the same, whether you're homosexual or heterosexual. But there are some people with different agendas. I was telling you I was in care. And I mentioned the other day, almost word for word, I think I mentioned it on a tweet. Chris Akabusa, I must get in touch with him. I did some Sky with him ages ago. And then we did a charity race. I beat him. No, but anyway, he's a nice geezer. But he was talking about being in care. And he said almost word for word that people big in the community used to come to the children's home every so often, and they would go into the bedrooms, put mattresses and the bathrooms, put mattresses against the door and have sex with the girls. I can almost word for word describe that myself. So I do know something about this subject. Right, so moving on. I don't know who would take over, Steve, is the answer, because the Tories haven't got anyone either, have they? What a state we're in. Maybe Elon Musk will come. Maybe we should ask Donald Trump. I mean, he said yesterday he's going to invade Canada and he's taking back the Panama Canal. Perhaps we could ask him to take back Britain and we could become the 52nd one then, won't we? He already calls Canada the 51st state. I don't know. I tell you one thing, I'd be much happier being tied to America than I would to Europe, failing Europe, because we are, all our culture basically, isn't it, is closer to America than it, movies, music, etc., than France or Belgium. I mean, what's Belgium ever done on music? Huh? Plastic Bertrand. I can't think of anybody else. Can you? I'll get a reaction to that. Where's that Russian guy, ex-Kremlin associate, you had on Talk to Me Radio during the Trump rallies? Said Atera. I hope I pronounced it right. He died. I've forgotten his name now. Alexander Lekreshov. Lovely fella. Jon Gaunt TV. Where have you been? I followed you on WM. I'm a Brummy. How do we get the bastards out? What, of Birmingham? Oh, you mean Parliament? Yeah. Nice to have you on board, Johnny. I'm here all the time. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where it's all going to grow. I'm going to be doing live shows there soon. I'm just getting my numbers up so that I can monetize it. Oh, by the way, if you want to help me, you can do that. It's called buymeacoffee.com. www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. No H in my name. Because I got no money. I lost everything. I was just quickly tell you, had sepsis, nearly died, in bed for a year. Then kind of, I used the word depressed. It's not real depression, but I had no confidence. Believe it or not, I couldn't do this. I tried to do it when GB News started, but I just keep losing my rag with them. Being told what to do by people who haven't even started shaving. And that's just the birds. Right, where next? Minnie, whatever happened to free speech? I don't think we ever had it, Minnie, if we're honest. Hi, John. It's great to see you back on live again. I've mentioned you to all my mates, says Lee in Skipton. Thank you, Lee, on X. Yeah, Lee, but you also said you were going to contribute $5. You haven't done that yet. I'm pulling your leg. But you don't have to pay anything. It's not the BBC. We won't send you to the gulag, but it'd be nice if you could help me. Denise Deacon, paedophilia is an epidemic in this country. Do you know what? I think you're right, Denise. It's never been taken seriously. Never, ever. It's like people being in care. Right? And I was only in care for a short time. I had a care order on me till I was 17 or 18. But I lived with my auntie, and then I came back to my dad, who was a complete fruitcake. But that's a different story. But they're only now trying to get it to be a protected status. So if you've been in children's homes, and never get kids in children's homes, they get kicked out at 16, put in a shitty little bedsit, and then before you know it, they do get looked after because they end up in prison. The amount of people in the care system, not everyone, but the amount of people who do. And no, so now they're saying it should be protected so that you could probably get a job at the BBC. I could become the Director General if I played my cards right, especially if I went gay as well. Harry Webb says, it's a bonfire, not a taxi we need for Starmer. Thank you, Harry. Thank you. I know you're just using it as a metaphor. You don't want wish him any harm, do you, really? Democracy is dead. Stop playing a fake democracy game, says Thomas Alexander. Well, I'll tell you what, Thomas, on Facebook, I'll stop doing that if you stop playing cliche bullshit, all right? Try and have some original thoughts. I'm not having a real go at you. I don't want to have a row with you, and I don't want to get into a spat with you. But democracy is only dead if we allow it to be dead. We've got to participate, and we've got to say, no, not good enough. That's why I'm saying taxi for Starmer. He won't survive this. He will have to do a U-turn, and he better do it pretty quick. He better get Stig involved at a Top Gear, because he's not going to win this. You know he's not. There's 54 towns, including my hometown of Coventry, where this has been going on for definite, and they've not addressed it. Dormston Cook, good afternoon, John. This is on X. Happy New Year to you. I hope you're well. I am now. Thank you, my friend. I absolutely agree with everything you say. We're fast becoming the country that covers up everything. Yeah. Duvet Britain. That's what we are, aren't we? Put a duvet over it. Get a rug. Brush it under the carpet. Coincidence on the date? I don't think so. He also goes on to say he's talking about the date of the inauguration of President Trump, leader of the free world, and the fact that's the day that the trial of the person who's accused, and this is how we have to phrase it, of the Southport triple murder and 10 other counts of trying to kill kids is in court. This guy, Smithy, out of Beano, the Bash Street kids. No pictures, no publicity. You know what I'd do? I'd pull that jumper down and I'd drag him in by his hair. Likewise, he wouldn't even go on the video the other day. How do we allow criminals to get away with that? Oh, sorry, alleged criminals. They should be dragged into the dock. And when they're found guilty, if indeed they are found guilty, hold on a minute. If they don't want to be there and hear their sentence, again, drag them in by their toenails, whatever's necessary. Especially if it's child murder. And you know where I stand on that. Child murder, like in little Sarah's case, where it's not disputed. Saddam Shuffle. Trial, then Saddam Shuffle. Yeah. Well, why are we keeping animals like that alive? Dormston again says he's done 3. Do you think it's buy 2, get 1 free this week, Dormston? Have you contributed yet? www.buymeacoffee.com. He's having a bog off. No one from within the Labour Party. Another election is needed, in my opinion. Yeah, but that's the problem. This is what kept me awake the other night. You have an election, Dormston. What's going to happen? Who's going to get elected? See, you might say, oh, well, I want reform. But reform, even by their own admission, aren't ready to take power. Even the 5 MPs they got, one of them's been accused of domestic violence, hasn't he? You got Richard Tice, who's got the charisma of this table and goes out with that horrible woman, Elizabeth Oakshit, whatever her name is. And then you got Nigel, great politician, no two ways about it, probably Britain's greatest ever. Who else is in it? Oh, Rupert, he's saying some quite good things, even though he was the Southampton chairman. And then there's one other whose name I can't remember. And then I quite like the Muslim guy who's the chairman. Seen him on telly quite a bit. He's articulate, isn't he? Michael Fenton Crenshaw. He's just put a Union flag there. That's his comment. Okay, fair enough. Quote from Jess Phillips. No, I haven't met or spoken to the Oldham people yet, but I will be doing so soon. What, like now, after you've refused them an inquiry? You're disgraceful. Age of consent should be at least 18. I think, Denise, time's moved on now. I can't see that happening. Thatcher campaign for the age of consent to be 14 years old, says Harry Webb on YouTube. Thank you very much indeed. Somebody here, their avatar is, their name is, this is on YouTube, slapping a bird's arse. That's not very politically correct, is it? But he says, good to see you back, Mr. Gaunt. Thank you. Thank you. Steve T on YouTube. Everyone's on YouTube. Says, good to see you live, Gaunty. Thank you. I'll tell you what, it's good to be alive. I thought I was going to die. Well, I basically did. I was at this charity do with Patrick, my mate, and started talking rubbish, so my wife said. And I said, well, didn't you spot it earlier? She said, you always speak shit. So she said, I did, just thought it was normal. She's horrible to me. Anyway, I got in the bath in this really posh hotel, started vomiting, had diarrhea and everything. Next day, had to go home. Rang the doctor. It was towards the end of COVID. And by the way, it's got nothing to do with COVID. And he got Lisa to take it. Oh, said, can you take a picture of it? I had an infection. So don't ask where. So I took a picture. Well, Lisa took the picture and he phoned straight back and said, get yourself to Warwick Hospital immediately. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200. You're going to die, effectively. And I got in and my temperature was 41. They said if I'd left it another day, curtains for Gaunty. State funeral for Gaunty. Yeah, I don't think so. Long-time follower, John. I'm from the days of radio and Sputnik. God, that is a long time ago. Thank you very much indeed. John, I had sepsis 3 years ago, and I'm also a sepsis survivor, so I sympathise with you. 100%. Good to see you back. Thank you very much indeed. Right, so if you want to comment, feel free. It's quieting down a bit on there now, so I'm going to stop in a minute because I'm only meant to be doing half an hour. Right, so where are we going? Where are we going? We've got Starmer, you see, and that's one of the problems because of what he did with the students, the OAP's winter fuel, and all the other things that he's lied about, right? He couldn't sleep straight in bed, could he? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So most people don't believe him. So this thing now about, oh, we don't need it. And do you know what I really hate about him? Is the way he constantly looks at his notes like a lawyer. I thought Kemi, that was a good line from her today. She said, why don't you be a leader and not a lawyer? It'd be better if she was the leader as well, obviously. There's no opposition. But he can't carry on, can he? Because no one likes him. No one values him. No one thinks he's doing a good job. Well, have I got that wrong? Please feel free to tell me if you think I have. But what a state. Today, we've got Labour MPs going to be whipped to basically deny girls, women now, who were raped at the age of 11. And as I say, if you read the reports, just horrendous things happen to them. They weren't believed then and they're not believed now, really. Because otherwise, any decent human being would say, of course we'll have an inquiry into Oldham. You see, and here's the other thing. I told you about the Muslim fella who was the ringleader in Rochdale. He's still in the country. He hasn't been deported, right? He's not the only one. There's loads of others. Then on top of that, did you know no public official, nobody who turned a blind eye to this industrial rape and sexual abuse of children, little girls, has ever ended up in court for it? No one. It's like the judge who gave permission for little Sarah's dad, Tuna Man, to educate her at home. It's now forbidden. The British press cannot name him. Why not? If you're a social worker or a politician and you make a decision which then comes back and has such devastating results, you get paid enough. You should have to answer in a court of law. Do you agree with me or not? By the way, if you want to comment after this is finished, feel free. You can. I'm on Twitter. It's Jon Gaunt, all one word, Jongaunt. You can also do it on Facebook or come to me via YouTube. Yeah, because that's where most of the stuff's going to happen in the next few months. All my live shows, etc. So subscribe. It's free. Absolutely free. Just go to Jon Gaunt TV and press subscribe. Then you'll get notifications every time I do a live. Because some people are saying to me, well, what days are you going to do it on? I haven't fixed that in my head yet. And because I did that for so many years, I don't really want to get into routine city. Do you know what I mean? When someone really gets my goat, I'm just going to come on. I'm not going to wait. Oh, I do a live show on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So I'll have to wait. And that'll be this week's subject. It's not the way I work. Like, I don't really script things. I just talk from the heart. I just say what I feel. Rick says, if this carries on and nothing's done to deal with the problem, you will see the rise of vigilante groups. I think you're right. Well, we saw that kind of in the riots, didn't we? Starmer's just trying to deflect anything he dislikes as far right so that he doesn't have to discuss it. It's student politics. Well, I've got to agree with you there. I am fed up. I mean, I was going to do I think I did one ages ago with this title, but I was going to use it again for a broadcast, which was when did it become so wrong to be right? See, I'm right wing, but I'm not a fascist. I'm not a racist, any of those things that Starmer thinks it is. I just believe in small government, yeah, keeping more of your money in your pocket. But I actually believe in making sure you leave the ladder down. I'm a working class kid, first person in my family ever to go to university, me and my brothers. And I want it there so I can pull other people up. And when you're ill, you need a benefit system, yeah? I lost everything. I'm not too proud to say it. I was on job seekers allowance just a few months ago. I managed to get off it now. Only just. And there's some stupidity me in where I think last week I made 98 quid or something. And I used to get 90 quid, 180 quid, I think, every 2 weeks. So 90 quid on the old rock and roll. But it made me feel as if I've earned it by doing this. And then you get some knobs on Twitter and on Facebook saying you're begging by asking for a coffee. It's not begging. I'm producing brilliant work. And people who like it think, oh, I'll give him a £5. He's worth a £5. Yeah. But they think that's begging. I don't see that as begging. I tell you what, those people who think that, middle-class tosspots, most of them are teachers or work in the public sector, right? Never done a day's work in their life. If that's not fair on teachers, but you know that's what I mean. If that's the case, you try and do it. You try and talk for half an hour. I've been talking. How long have I been talking for now? Where's the clock on this? Oh, 35 minutes, 47 seconds. See if you can do it and see if you could be half as entertaining as me, right? And then take questions from people just off the cuff. I don't know what people are going to say. I do like this one, though. Ian Purvis, he's back on YouTube. He says, get the coffees in, folks. Ian, are you begging on my behalf? Good man. Thank you very much. You're very lucky, John. My sister died of sepsis 2 years ago. Oh, I tell you what, Denise, sorry. My heart goes out to you. I didn't mean to make light of it. I didn't know what sepsis was. I've saw the posters where every time you go to casualty, they're there, aren't they? And I saw them on the side of an ambulance. I didn't know what it meant. It's basically your body attacking yourself. I mean, I was bloody lucky, very, very lucky, because of my brilliant doctor and my wife. And got to be said, the care I had at Warwick Hospital was out of this world and would have cost a fortune if I'd had to pay for it. You don't have to pay for it because we've got the wonderful NHS. Do you understand what I mean? So you'll note, if you go through all of my thing, I've never really slagged them off. I don't like it when Farage does it. I don't want to get to a situation where you end up paying. I don't think that's right. You know, like in America, I mean, I love America, but the one thing I hate about America is the medical bills and how you can buy yourself out of trouble. That don't seem right. I do believe in small state. I do believe in small government, keeping more of your money in your pocket. Yes, I do agree with that. But you need a safety net. If I hadn't had the safety net of the NHS, I'd have died, and I would have. Well, I don't know what I'd have done otherwise on the dole. I mean, 90 quid. 90 is nothing, is it? Do you know what I mean? And there was a kind of pride in me. I don't know. I'm going on a bit here. Working class pride. I'd much rather earn my money if I can, which is what I'm doing, begging for coffee. And we'll see. But we'll get a sponsor for it soon. And I've just got my Twitter monetized. YouTube will be monetized. If you keep watching, it'll be monetized soon. And then maybe I'll be turning left on a plane. Maybe just getting on a plane. Somebody says, do you still want to turn left on a plane? I just want to get on a fucking plane. I just want to have a holiday. I've not had a holiday in about 4 years. But anyway, that's all to come because I'm so happy in myself. I feel fulfilled. I feel the work I'm doing now is some of the best I've ever done in broadcasting. And I don't want to go back to Gaunty. Well, I never did anyway. That's why I got the sack all the time. Because it was like, you're not saying what you're meant to be saying, John. The line is this. No, the line isn't. If that's the line you want, you fucking say it. What was that? Ian says, I'll get you a couple later. Oh, you're kind. My daughter had cancer at 6 years old. Laughter got us through it over a year of brutal treatment, says Lady Pan. She's 27 now, thank goodness. Laughter is the best medicine. I think I probably agree. Well, apart from Cowpaw. Every parent in the world would say, no, not when it comes to a little kid. Cowpaw is the best medicine. I'm kind of joking, everyone. Don't get too worked up about it. And there are other medicines, of course, on the counter. Nothing's as good as Cowpaw, though, is it? When you got kids. What did my mum used to say? If it don't taste nasty, it ain't going to do you any good. I think my wife says that when she cooks as well. Anyway, I've had enough now. I've done. I think it's a disgrace what's happening. You obviously think that's well. Oh, this guy here. Get into GB News. You'd be great on there. I did some bits on there. I don't think they think I was great. And also, no, shut up, John. You should never slag off a potential employer. I don't really want to do it. Kevin Barnfield says we need our king to step in. Starmer is ridiculous. He's not that good, but I agree with you. But we can't really have the king stepping in, can we? Where would that leave us as a democracy? Banana flavor antibiotics, says a lady. Oh, yeah, that's a childhood memory, along with cowpole. Here, I've got another one for you. And don't say, oh, I don't know about that, John. I've never had them. When you have worms, what was that raspberry medicine your mum gave you to kill off the worms in your arse? Do you know what I'm talking about? Pripson, that's it. Tasted great. The worms hated it. Ooh, the Pripson, I'm dying. Yeah. I bet you were going, I never had worms. Everybody had worms. Anyway, we'll finish now. Full Metal Otter. I like that. I really like that title. Great show, John. You're right. You're a man of taste. All right, then. So Starmer, we want him out. But who are we going to replace him with? I ain't got a clue. There's a lot more to talk about over the next few weeks and months because this lot are just the best thing ever in terms of material, don't you think? Huh? It's a pity they're completely messing up the country and we're all skint. I went shop. What's happening with the cost of living? Huh? Have you seen the price of olive oil? Yeah? Unbelievable. John, how about Trump Gaunt for PM? I can't afford the wage cut. That's what I used to say. I could now. I'd go for that. Oh, loads more people coming through now. John, I've been with you all the way, mate. And I can definitely say Gaunty is back. Yeah, but a lot of people have been with me for a long time. And I normally shake him off at Watford Gap. That was my other old joke. Thank you, Robbie. By the way, I'm seeing you Friday. Don't forget, he called off. Like, I was meant to go for a beer with him. And I said, it's your round first. And then guess what? Out of the blue, oh, I'm ill. I can't come. I got this terrible cough. Ooh. He texted. He didn't say it on phone because I'd have tested whether he was telling the truth or not. Steve says, John, have you got any new books coming out? Well, that's an interesting one. I've written a book. It's 100,000 words. It's a thriller. I did get somebody who wanted to publish it. And then I kind of got cold feet, I think. And so now I've got to try and reignite their interest. But I don't know. I think it's brilliant. Everybody I've given it to says it's brilliant as well. But it's about abuse. So most people, don't say the next bit, John. But it's a weird world publishing. Shall we just say that? So I just feel as well, there's this thing with it going back to, that's come full circle that. I think one of the problems is people don't really like talking about abuse, do they? Because it's horrendous to think about it. You look at your own little kids and give them a kiss, give them a hug, tell them you love them and all that shit. And, listen to read. Now, in that moment when your kid starts reading the book back to you, or just before that, when you've been reading the book and you're knackered, right? And it's the same book for the last millennium, The Hungry Caterpillar or something, and you miss out 2 pages thinking, cock, I've got to get downstairs, sports night's on in a minute, or whatever. Then when I had my kids. And they go, and then you think they're falling asleep like this. And you skip a page. And it's like the Gestapo have suddenly arrived. There's a light in your eyes. Dad, you missed a page. You missed a bit about when he ate the cabbage. Yeah? Kids. And then they read. And, of course, don't forget, reading the book. When I was in care, there was a guy called Ken Simon, Asian fella, lovely bloke, young social worker. And he used to say to me, John, read, you're really clever. So read everything you can. Because once it's in there, no one can ever take it away. And, through this, I went bust years ago as well. But, through what I've just been through, it's true. And I've got really into Audible as well. So I listen to books. Well, it's kind of reading them, isn't it, as well? But yeah, reading's the greatest thing in the world. Can't beat it. Nice one, John. Steady as you go. Thank you. John, how about a one-man show on the road to listen about your story of growing up and then questions? I don't think anyone would come. I'm not big enough yet. Maybe one day. Minnie says on YouTube, press the like button, people. Yeah, that's really important. If you're watching me on YouTube, press the like button. And also make sure you subscribe and also tell all your friends. And even if you're listening now, because this will go out as a podcast as well on audio, wherever you get it from, Apple, whatever. But if you've not watched the live show, watch that as well. Just a different dimension. But, a lot of people like listening to me when they're walking their dog. So I'm not going to stop doing it as a podcast audio as well. And it's no extra work, to be honest. So, but I need to get the YouTube numbers up. I don't know if you know how it works. The more people who watch for longer periods, then eventually you get advertising. Well, that's what they told me. I don't know who want to advertise with me, but we'll see. Stanner chairlifts, probably. I don't know. I can't believe I'm an old man. I'm looking at myself now here. Huh? How did that happen? I'm still good looking, though, Robbie. Don't forget it. All right, that's me done. I'll see you soon. Listen, if you've got kids, give them a kiss. Give them a hug. Don't forget to tell them you love them. And honestly, things can only get better, I'm sure. See you later. I'll do another one tomorrow, maybe. Oh, no, I'm going home tomorrow. I might do one tomorrow, if not Friday. See you later. All the best. Bye.